Dirty fucker.
What a clever boy.
What a fucking rotter.
Well, that's it for tonight.
Regulators made lists saying which swear words were worse than others, and everyone agreed that the F word should never be heard before 9 o'clock. For a while, the BBC and ITV exercised whatever ingenuity they could to disguise offensive terms.
Nap all fairies. Nap off yourself, bitch, with knobs on. Yeah.
But in 1982, Thatcher's government gave TV a verbal volleying, shaking it up, launching the F Channel.
Channel 4 is coming on November the 2nd.
Channel swore. I mean, Channel 4.
You are live on Channel 4. Please do not swear.
Channel 4 was a breath of fresh air for British television. It was one of those stations that came on air and it just felt different.
This is Channel 4, the new national television service broadcasting...
Television had made itself a slightly artificial and very restricted world, and Channel 4 came and opened the doors.
It was a channel which some of us thought should try to add spice and variety to what British broadcasting then provided.
Thank you.
Two ordinary train travellers. One is on the way home, the other is on the way to present a new programme for Channel 4. Which one is the presenter?
Neither. It's me, Snapper.
It was set up to be alternative, less white, less English, less middle class.
Channel 4 looking for a new audience. Well, they're going to get them. Dogs, no cats.
The new channel wanted a strong identity, and one of the ways it could do that was with equally strong language.
We decided that what we would have was real language, and we would have the language that people really spoke, and we would have the language that real writers wanted their characters to speak. And that actually represented quite a serious departure from normal practice on television.
4 wanted to be different, to be edgy, to think outside the box. So Chief Executive Jeremy Isaacs threw open his doors to idealistic young TV producers.
I went to this big open meeting that Channel 4 held to introduce Channel 4, and I managed to get through to Jeremy Isaacs. I said to him, look, Jeremy, will you actually allow me to swear at 8 o'clock on British television, And he kind of looked at me and said, come and see me,
The result was Brookside. The new Scouse soap was radically different, giving us gritty dialogue in pre-Watershed family viewing time.
So the two words that were actually, prohibitive from Brookie right from day one were F and C. And they were the two words that no one was ever allowed to use. Everything else we kind of thought was up for fair game,
What do you have to move up here for anyway? Pissing useless it is.
There was definitely kind of a collective will within Brookside, from the execs through the writers to the cast, to bring a realism to Brookside.
Bloody little hooligans!
There were 16 swear words in the first episode, including 1 Jesus Christ, 2 pissings, 1 piss off, 2 bloody hells, 3 knackards, 2 dickheads, and 1 bollocks.
Nah, couldn't have been our day with that. He only spells bollocks with whatever.
That'll do, that's enough of that.
Got a right dickhead, you, aren't you?
On that opening night, I remember thinking, oh my God, they've just said dickhead, and my mum and dad are in the room. And I'm watching it with them,
Now language. French.
And Damon and the gang, were just they were the teenage guys on the streets. I mean, now you'd probably call them hoodies,
You won't. Piss off.
You could identify with them. That's what kids were like. Kids swear much more than adults.
There was a little bit of a naughty boy in you that went, he, we're being naughty on telly.
It was baiting the censors, though, I think, baiting the people who would rail against this stuff in the Daily Mail and various other bastions and moral guardians. I think that it was saying, look, how many we can squeeze into half an hour.
For Middle England, Channel 4 had become enemy number 1.
Every single time we did a documentary that had a prostitute in it, it was called Channel Whore.
Channel Snore.
Channel Bore. It's more like Channel Chore than Channel 4.
And then, inevitably, every single time the F word was used, it was Channel Swore. Channel Swore became imprinted on everyone's mind. Sometimes a headline does do that. Channel Swore, people thought that's what it was about, as if every programme on Channel 4 from Countdown through was full of swearing, and it wasn't.
There again.
Not sure if I dare say this one. Wankers.
Wankers. Gino.
We've got a pair of wankers.
A pair of wankers.
I think Channel 4, what you might call pushed the boundaries out on sex and violence and bad language. The overwhelming bulk of complaints were about language.
You might think that there's no such thing as bad publicity, but after 6 months, the ratings for Brookside were plummeting.
Well, the first night we had 4.8 million people, and by Christmas we had 500,000, and there's obviously, there had to be a reason for that, because the show wasn't that bad. I mean, it was a little bit ropey, but it wasn't that bad. And the single biggest thing that came across from the audience, not from the media hysteria, was they didn't like the language.
Channel 4 was in trouble. Their audience were returning to the more traditional channels. Bosses realised that they needed to mind their language at mealtimes to reassure nervous viewers.
They felt we had in some way betrayed them by doing this before 9 o'clock at night. You know, if they didn't want to hear four-letter words on television with their granny or their children sitting in the sitting room, they weren't expecting it to happen before 9 o'clock.
Oh, for Christ's sake, will you two leave it alone? I'm not even...
We followed all the social mores about when characters would and wouldn't swear. Guys on the shop floor or in very emotional union meetings would swear like troopers.
We don't get any say in the matter, OK? But we've still got to answer to gobshites like you.
Kids would swear against each other, but no one would swear in front of their parents. The guys wouldn't swear in front of their wives, you know. So we followed all those social mores, but the difficulty was that when you talk to the audience, they understood all that, but the problem was they weren't in those situations when they watched the show. So they would be sitting with their wives, and the kids would be sitting with their parents. And so, although we'd followed them fictionally, in reality we'd broken the social mores, and that's what people didn't like.
OK, very quiet for rehearsal, please.
And in the end, the memo came round to say that we are now removing all bad language from the scripts.
And although I was then sort of standing outside Channel 4 giving public pronouncements that we would not change the programme and we were going to maintain the tone and stance of the programme, I was then walking in and out of edit suite, editing out all the swearing, you know.
Channel 4 was not the harbinger of a new libertarian age, which explains Countdown, but they were different, and the audience expected them to be a bit more edgy than the opposition. Which is probably why this tea time entertainment show even had fuck in the title. Sort of.
TFI is not abbreviated, it's an acronym, darling.
Tits, funny.
Thank for It's Friday is what I was told.
If Jan says it stands for Thank for It's Friday, then obviously that's what it stands for.
Thank for It's Friday, that doesn't work at all.
Do you know what? I forgot.
Thank fuck it's Friday.
Thank fuck, I would have thought.
Thank fuck it's Friday.
Thank it's Friday, yeah. It's a swear word.
It's perfectly obvious to everyone that it's thank fuck it's Friday.
Good evening and welcome to TFI Friday. Friday nights live on Channel 4 once again. This evening...
I was a controller at Channel 4 in the period where TFI Friday was probably our biggest show. And it was certainly the kind of zeitgeist show of the 90s.
Earlier on when we were talking in the dress rehearsal, you said that, Chris, the thing is, I'm just in the mood for a fight. No.
TFI comes out of the school of the Tube and the Word and those sorts of programmes where the whole point of the programme is to be, as a viewer, be thinking, this could all kick off any second. It could all kick off.
What's on your mind?
Let's have a go at the Conservative government.
Oh, blimey.
For a start.
I'm in trouble again.
Let's have a go at them for just fucking everything.
No, you can't!
Didn't I?
Ewan, I'm in so much
Class A mistake.
Do you realise how much trouble I'm in now?
Mistake.
Do you realise how much trouble... Once again, I apologise for the language of my first guest.
When you watched as a viewer, and certainly as a lawyer, you were thinking, what on earth is going to happen next?
Now let's welcome the man at the front of that band. Sean Ryder's going to come and talk to us. Here he is.
I don't think that you can get Sean Ryder on a live show like TFI and expect it to go really smoothly.
If I was Winston Churchill, you know, back in the 40s, you know, we will fuck them on the beaches and we'll fuck them cunts in the fucking air. You know, we'll fucking knock the twats every fucking where, fucking...
Sean Ryder, here he is. You know that you swear a lot, don't you? You are aware of that?
Yeah.
But the thing is, you don't mean to, do you?
No, not at all, Chris. It's just the way it happens, you know.
It's just your lingo, that's the way it is.
And he knew that he wasn't allowed to use the F word.
Sean has promised tonight to do his best, haven't you, Sean?
Yeah, I am.
Well, look, let me tell you this. If you don't swear tonight, I'll give you my shoes.
That's good. All
right?
When he took his shoes off, you know, I mean, I just expected, like, you know, Woolworths or, you know, something to be stamped in it.
Patrick Cox, man, and Patrick's a fucking good...
I remember sitting in a very small box by the gallery watching TFI, and I think that everyone there just simply dropped their head into their hands and said, "Oh, fuck."
So, what did they do? They invited him back 4 weeks later.
How are you? Nice to see you again, man. You all right?
Yeah.
Who are you going to be for us?
I'm going to be Johnny Rotten.
Johnny!
Sensibly, they pre-recorded his interview. Less sensibly, when he stepped through the door to perform a cover of Pretty Vacant with his band, he was absolutely live.
We were thinking, as was the regulator, as it turns out rather naively, that the F words were going to be in interviews because that's when people speak, whereas when people sing, it's a song.
The lyrics were dutifully checked and there were no swear words to be found, apart from the one in vague cunt. But Sean was psyching himself up to impersonate the outrageous Pistols frontman.
I really did put on the Johnny Rotten thing, you know what I mean? And I'm actually really counting myself in and waiting for my cue. You know, I'm going like, fuck, 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 fuck. It's waiting for me to come in with the lyrics, you know. I should have been saying it in my head.
At which point he grabs hold of the mic, no delay, nothing, and...
You know, it's coming out of my mouth.
Oh, fuck.
No one had ever seen that amount of pre-Watershed swearing on television before. It was quite astonishing, really.
I just fucked up big style.
It's hilarious, it's great television, and it's your job as a presenter. You apologise. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. And that's what you do automatically. You automatically apologise.
My card's upside down, but that's the least of my worries at the moment. Very sorry for Sean's bad language again on this show.
At the same time, the back of your brain is thinking, yo, 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 they're going to talk about this tomorrow? Fantastic.
7 fucks at tea time. This was one for the Guinness Book of Swearing.
I think everyone was very concerned because at that point we knew really that despite all our best efforts, we really were having a lot of problems policing strong language on that programme.
This was the 3rd breach of the ITC Taste and Decency Guidelines in 6 weeks. Channel 4 had some serious explaining to do.
Once the regulators got involved, which of course they did, TFI Friday had to be broadcast with a 15-minute delay so that anything could be edited out before it went out. They weren't trusted with live television anymore.
TFI were lucky to escape a fine that would have rivaled Chris Evans' bar bill, and Sean Ryder was banned from ever appearing live again on Channel 4. He's actually mentioned by name in their guidelines. Page 92, Sean fucking Ryder.
I think there's a time and a place for that sort of language, and it wasn't at 6 o'clock.
No, fuck the Watershed.
What an irresponsible attitude. TV producers will always try to push their luck, but 9 o'clock is still the Watershed, and you can't say any very rude words before then.
I don't want to sit down with my 8-year-old daughter and my 73-year-old father and watch someone having an abortion or shagging or saying, fuck off, you wanker. I don't want that.
The most recent example of swearing upsetting a watching pre-Watershed audience was this BBC footage of the Live 8 concert. Viewers were shocked by the language in Snoop Doggy Dogg's set, and when Madonna improvised before her performance, the broadcast attracted over 350 complaints.
So I'm going to say it again. Are you fucking ready, London?
I'm quite a big fan of Madonna, but when she swore at the G8 concert, I just wondered why. I thought after writing all those kids' books and her being a mum and everything, I thought, oh, she's just still a bit outrageous.
I think that 9 o'clock Watershed, I think that's quite sensible. Because then you know that no one's going to spit in your face up to 9 o'clock.
This arena is not for the faint-hearted. It's on all day long, it's live, and no other area is more vulnerable to a gate-crashing swear word. Even the first BBC commentator had a big sign up reminding him not to swear.
Say hello to Norway then,
Fuck off, Norway.
No.
Only joking.
No, it's a joke. Silly joke.
I think if you put a camera in any football changing room in the country, from Sunday Park football right up to, you know, Chelsea Arsenal at the top of the Premiership, you're going to get a huge amount of swearing.
So you little cunt, when I tell you to do something, and you fucking big cunt, when I tell you to do something, do it. And if you come back at me, we'll have a fucking right sort out here. All right? And you can pair up if you like, and you can fucking pick someone else to help you, and you can bring your fucking dinner. Because by the time I'm finished with you, you'll fucking need it.
You know, you try to be cool and calm as a manager and constructive, like, but at that moment, you know, everything comes out.
And that's what pisses me off.
It might sound offensive to certain people, but it's just a human emotion, and sometimes you can't keep the lid on that.
If you're not sure, keep the fucking ball, be strong on it. I know it's hard, I know there's wind, but it's fucking elementary, yeah?
Immense pressure. I mean, I'm only 25, look at the state of me, it's a joke.
Behind the scenes, everyone swore, but you rarely saw it clearly on television.
I tell you what, Dad, it's fucking men against fucking boys all over the fucking park. You're fucking weak as piss, they are.
All that changed in the 90s. In the '94 World Cup, an Irish substitute was waiting on the touchline to come on in a match against Mexico. The whole world was watching, but translators were not required.
Tommy Coyne came off, and I went to go on, and the fourth official put his arm across me and said, I'm not going nowhere.
Great skill from Garcia Aspe. Tricked Irwin.
John Aldridge here is involved in a bit of a row with the official because he's ready to come on, and he's being prevented from doing so.
And you can see John Aldridge, I mean, he's going ballistic. He's like effing and blinding and screaming at this fourth official.
He'll be off before he's on if he's not careful. I can understand his frustration. He wants to get involved in the action, but this isn't doing him any good.
It was like a red rag to a bull for me, because I was very passionate on the pitch, and I just wanted to get on and start putting myself about.
And I was willing him on there as well. He's not even fucking Irish and he's getting into them right, you know.
Aldridge is ready to go. That's the understatement of the day.
Funny part for me was, you know, the next day when I phoned my parents up, when I said, put my mum on, Dad, he said, sorry, son, she won't speak to you. Because she hasn't heard you swear for 37 years, and when she does, all the world sees it on the same scale.
You fucking cheat!
It was nearly as good as the game now.
Close-ups of cursing were entering a golden age as a new development in British broadcasting arrived, Sky Digital Satellite Television.
But the key innovation, I think, at Sky was the way in which they revolutionised sport. And importantly, the innovation around camera technology, using more cameras than ever had been used before, using different types of camera technology.
It was vibrant, it was exciting, it was all about mega slow-mo replays, it was ballet.
And it was more swearing.
I think nowadays most games tend to be covered on about 18 up to about 25 cameras. There's 10, 12 microphones around the stadiums.
It's like a movie set now, but we don't get any makeup on.
There's a close-up camera dedicated to the tightest shot, and it tends to be that one that causes all the trouble because it gets tight, it gets close to the action, and oh look, the swearing.
One of the worst examples of on-pitch swearing was Wayne Rooney's tirade of swear words when Arsenal played Manchester United live on Sky Sports last season.
People normally talk about the goals or an offside, there was an offside, but everyone said, did you see Wayne Rooney last night?
Wayne Rooney got done about, I think it was like 150 times he said fuck or something in the space of 4 minutes or something.
He's cut down. Wayne Rooney used to do 100, 200 times a game, so he's cut down. I think, well done, Wayne Rooney.
I was in hysterics. All you saw him was going...
The rules say that even if you can lip read what somebody says, that is as offensive as the person that's saying it and you seeing and hearing it. So in Wayne's case, the fact that he's effing and blinding, there is a responsibility from the channel. They should have cut away from him.
The Secondary Head Teachers Association joined in the debate when they said that showing these images set a bad example to children. Spoil sports.
And I suggested that if you were going to show things like that in a drama programme, you would put them on after The Watershed, and therefore, perhaps if that's the way you wanted to show football, you ought to put that on after The Watershed as well.
Kids know a lot more than parents ever think or wish to believe their kids know. I just say this, if the kid knows what he's saying, well, the damage is already done. And if the kid doesn't know what he's saying, well, then it doesn't matter.
When a streaker runs across the pitch in a football match,
not wearing very much apart from a Union Jack,
then there's no close-ups then, thank goodness. And the result, of course, is that, yes, we might be aware that there's a streaker, but it's not nearly so offensive, and what's more, it's actually reduced the incidents.
What Rooney did was exceptional, so rather than the rule, so to change the whole of football coverage would be a bit drastic.
I think there should be a little more understanding. Yes, it's unfortunate. It's not what you want children to copy, but in a highly pressurised situation like that, you know, they've got to understand this is going to happen.
Swearing is the language of football, no question. But I think we would be ill-advised to start saying that it's only footballers who swear.
Check out what happened when the BBC mic'd up the university boat race.
The guys actually rowing haven't got any breath left to actually say anything, never mind a swear word. But the Coxes were potty-mouthed.
We're moving out here, moving out. Now it's time to fuck them.
And I was really surprised. You know, these are people from Oxford and Cambridge, for goodness sake. If that's the cream of society, God help the skim milk.
Talking of which...
Big Brother House, this is Davina. You are live on Channel 4. Please do not swear.
I like to think I don't swear that much, but I probably do swear quite a lot, actually.
Oh, fuck off!
In days gone by, TV reflected how polite society spoke. But when Big Brother started, we suddenly realised how sweary people really are. It was a new, shocking reality.
Shit! Big Brother changed the face of television today, without question.
You're fucking I'm
Hold on.
you.
One more then. Have I said what I said to you?
It's warts and all, stripped bare, literally. You know, everything hanging out on screen there for you as it is.
AB conversation, see your fucking ass over it. Prick.
It's made very, very clear that, you know, the way to win this is to be as outrageous as you possibly can. And, you know, the easiest thing to start thinking about being outrageous is to start swearing and take all your clothes off.
Housemates didn't hold back, physically or verbally. And thanks to new technology, we could lap up the P's and Q's 24 hours a day on our PCs.
But what they did do in a huge technical innovation was to put it live on the internet. So you did end up with sort of crowds of people in an office all crowding around the one computer that had the capacity to get the live feed, all sort of pointing on this tiny little screen going, what are they doing? I can't hear it. Turn the sound up. Has anyone got any speakers?
We all had it on 24 hours a day. We were obsessed by it. It was all-consuming.
When E4 started, the Stream Big Brother became the first round-the-clock show. Great idea, in theory. But they quickly realised that in Big Brother land, the housemates barely knew whether it was day or night, let alone whether it was appropriate to swear.
As soon as it started, you wondered how the hell are they going to do this? How do they, you know, anything can happen. There's going to be constant swearing. Obviously, it's going all the way through the day, so they're not allowed to show any of it pre the 9 o'clock watershed.
I'm going to stop in Dakar, so...
It's no surprise when, like the odd nipple, a few expletives slipped out in the daytime.
To Alex.
Yes, correctly.
Oh.
By Series 3, the show had to be taken off air because bad language wasn't policed.
I think swearing is a problem at the moment to deal with on TV because reality TV, it's a younger generation often watching it, and
That's how they speak, and swearing is not shocking to them.
Oh, the way people talk in Big Brother, that's fine. That's how everyone talks, isn't it? Everyone, you know, that's how we all talk.
There's an enormous generational shift in language. For my son's generation, the levels of language and what counts as serious swear words is actually different from my generation and transformationally different from my parents' generation.
No one would want to listen to one long beat, so the programme makers had to come up with a new method to mask the swearing. Is it a bird? Is it a train? No, it's a Big Brother ambient sound effect.
T-shirt and shorts.
Some sound engineer was just told to go out with a little microphone and a mini DAT machine and record something, and they just went out and recorded the Jubilee line and a bit of canal bird song.
There would be like a little train that would go along like that and things like that, or birds singing and things like that.
On the streaming, you keep going to the sound of chickens.
If you watch the E4 live feed of Big Brother at 12 o'clock in the middle of the day, then you're basically watching a silent movie.
If the uninhibited language in Big Brother was setting new standards, so were the record-breaking viewing figures. ITV wanted a hit reality show, with the ratings bit but without the swearing bit for their family audience. When it comes to offensive words, they generally maintain the policy of, if in doubt, keep it out.
Celebrity. I'm Celebrity has 16 million people, and it's families and it's kids and it's everyone. Swearing's not really appropriate on there.
You cannot get away with stuff that you would be able to get away with on Channel 4 if you're on ITV primetime immediately after Coronation Street.
Whenever you read the list of who's going to go into a celebrity TV show, it really is B-list, C-list, Z-list, D-list. So I remember thinking, oh, look, a Sex Pistol. Hang on a minute, aren't parts of this show live?
Yes, they are. As they were back in 1976, when infamously John Lydon and his pals launched swearing on ITV.
What was the rude word? Shit. Was it really? Not again. You dirty fucker. What a clever boy. What a fucking rotter. Well, that's it for tonight.
ITV were perhaps hoping that middle-aged John had mellowed out a little bit.
I want my money back. What kind of death trap holiday is this?
You're inviting someone who is renowned for their entire professional life as being a rebel and a maverick and a loose cannon, and someone who clearly swears a lot. So inviting him onto your live, entertainment programme, it must have known what to expect, or they should have had a pretty good idea.
We really did think about it, but we still went live, even knowing that he was quite a dangerous character.
I was offered like a couple of weeks in the jungle. I thought, I've never done anything like that before in my life. A bit of camping. Fucking hate!
He could be angry one day and he could be marvelling about butterflies the next. So, you're getting an unpredictable and very interesting character there, and that's why he's on the show.
Cute little thing, isn't it?
Yeah.
No, I'd still eat him.
After 8 days in the jungle, the celebrities were cold, wet, hungry and starting to wish they were going home, especially John.
Morning, everyone.
Morning.
Morning. Ant and Dec had come into the camp,
I liked them two, by the way. I thought they were all right.
and they were saying who was going to be evicted. Does it suit me?
Yeah, it does.
And Johnny had thought that he was, he was in a bad mood and he'd quite like to leave. He was getting fed up at that point.
John! Oh, please let it be me. They've decided. It's not you! Oh, fucking cunts. They voted me to stay on. And I went, oh, you fucking cunts. I meant that in the nicest possible way.
Hey! Oh, come on! Sort of sharp intake about all of us. And we talked about it afterwards, and we all thought it was really unnecessary.
I meant the country. I want to go trucking in the country.
Not the Great British Police. We have to apologise for that.
It might be
Sorry
a
about that.
situation, eh? They apologised? Good God. For what? I'm the only one who should do that, and I'm sorry, I apologise to nobody for nothing.
I wasn't shocked at all when he swore. In some ways, I was waiting for him to swear, because it's to be expected. Any minute now, he's going to say, oh, he has.
They went nutty, of course, and they came into the camp and asked to speak to me. and said that from there on in the show would have a couple of seconds delay, and so wouldn't be going out live anymore. Really pissed me off, so I just decided, sod it, fuck it, and walked off when I was good and ready. Left my mark, didn't I?
He was a punk rocker. They all swore and spat, you know. So, and he got away with it. And everyone just thought, oh, cuddly old, outrageous Uncle John.
I did think, actually, there would be probably thousands of complaints, but in fact it was no more than really a handful in terms of how many people were watching.
Some people are horrified at the idea that these words can ever become valueless. But if you describe the entire TV audience of whatever it was at the time, 12, 13 million, if you say you are all fucking cunts, you're not, by definition, using the word very precisely.
40 years ago, it wasn't a matter of how you swore, just swearing at all until he made you a social leper. But we now live in the noughties, where someone like Jamie Oliver can be a pucker fucker and still be the darling of Middle England.
George is out and about doing things, got the whole kitchen to myself.
Jamie was once the golden boy of BBC cookery programmes, a lovable, cheeky chappie, better known for his mockney catchphrases than constant cursing.
A funky little salsa, quite twangy, and it tastes pucker. Yeah, lovely.
Basically, he was everywhere. He was on the telly.
He's kind of creamy.
Either on the BBC doing a programme, or he was, you know, doing pretty much the same thing in an advert for Sainsbury's.
You got Jamie sort of 50 times a week in your home being pucker and being a mate, and we just got sick of the sight of him. He just became boring. And as often happens when you have too much of a good thing, you fall out of love with it.
Anchovy sauce, look at that. That is pucker. That is made in Aylford in Kent. My old mate, the herb, just...
Irritating TV chefs. By pressing the red button, you can do this.
To halt the downward spiral, Jamie took his new series to Channel 4. They wanted to bin the naked chef and introduce a secret ingredient: swearing.
I wanted to get rid of all the cooking, I wanted to get rid of all the recipes, and could we turn it into a documentary series to make it much grittier and truer?
And just put it inside the bread, don't have it hanging over the side.
The series was Jamie's Kitchen, with cameras following him everywhere. And from the very first scene, it was clear that his old image was toast.
And basically, like, toast the bottom and sort of grills the top. But I fucked it up. Fucking bollocks.
He basically, in that 3-minute scene, said, "Goodbye, naked chef." They laid the ghost of the past to rest, and you knew as a viewer you were watching a new Jamie, and it was a different kind of programme.
He's pissing me off today. That geezer's a complete wanker.
I think we had something like, 47 F words in the first 10 minutes. At the time, I think it had been the most F words ever on Channel 4 in 10 minutes. I was terribly proud of the fact.
Where the fucking hell is she? Man, you're making a salad that fucking dies, right? Fucking muck about with me tonight.
Suddenly you see him in a kitchen, actually swearing and losing his temper.
You little shit. Not tonight. Not fucking tonight.
Kind of put his balls back in the right place.
No, I'm going to get tough now. I mean, I couldn't give a shit if they haven't tasted it before.
It made Jamie butch. Swearing made Jamie butch.
Where are all the builders, mate?
When we saw him, this man alone, basically battling in the sheer face of adversity, from the money not coming through, to the kids not cooking very well, to the interior design of the restaurant being a pile of shite.
This is a fucking piece of shit.
He just kept going and going and going, and at the end, that's a hero.
Jamie's Kitchen turned our hero from culinary sinner to king of school dinner. Colourful language there may have been, but it had no bearing on Jamie Oliver becoming a modern-day TV saint and all-conquering campaigner.
Doing good things whilst swearing a lot seems to equal, near sainthood. And at the moment, Jamie Oliver, he can do no wrong. He can walk in anywhere, get anything done, including number 10. The man is a complete hero. And that's an amazing turnaround.
The F word has now become so pervasive that another chef has taken the practice even further and made it his signature dish. Fuck pie, anyone?
You lying little bastard.
He is 3 rosettes. I mean, he is your Michelin star fuck.
You give a about me, you don't give a about stand-ups.
He's got very strong views. He expresses them very forcefully.
Would you eat that? No, I wouldn't. No. So why the should I?
His entire image is that he's a fiery, passionate man who just can't control himself.
As a starter, he created a soupçon of swearing for, who else? Channel 4. 4 million of us were transfixed at his tirades in the opening episode of Ramsay's Kitchen Nightmares, where he established a new record for fucks in one show, 111.
Because this is the fucking pits. You should be ashamed. I've never seen anything like this in my entire fucking life, you know that? Because this is a fucking embarrassment.
This episode was Channel 4's highest rated of the week, and ITV capitalised on the hype created by Gordon's language to market his next show, Hell's Kitchen.
The red or the blue menu? What the do you think you're doing? And get the out of my restaurant!
They brought in a chef who they basically marketed as Gordon fucking Ramsay.
Can you see me?
Well, only one eye, because I'm
Only
really
one
blind
eye.
in the
Fuck
other.
me.
I mean, they told you over and over and over again in the marketing, just in case you didn't know, if you'd been living in a hole somewhere, Gordon Ramsay swears, throws things and bullies people.
Now, here we go. You calm down and you concentrate. The I really came back. So please do it. Let's work as a team! Shit. Souffles are fucking overcooked. The whole fucking lot goes in the bin and we start again. Your attitude stinks. One little fuck up like that.
Definitely Gordon was swearing is part of the man, is part of what you expect. It's part of maybe what a lot of people turn on to see.
James, I want you to be a little more fucking composed.
Right.
I want you to talk to me like a proper cook. It was the biggest head fuck I've ever had in my entire life, for God's sake. I was actually going a little bit fucking doolally myself. Have you done it yet?
No!
Oh, come on!
But there was one dish Gordon couldn't master, the Edwina curry.
You've been here 30 seconds, you've already started arguing.
I'm going to do more of it in future as well, Chef.
Can't wait.
It was also set up so that we were going to annoy him and he was going to swear at us.
Edwina.
Chef.
That's the second line on the trot. The risotto. Real hard ass. Really hard. And I think I got on her nerves and she got clearly on mine.
Whatever she was doing was irritating him and was winding him up. So the more he shouted and the more he swore and the more she ignored it and didn't rise to it, the more angry he got. It was a really incredibly fascinating battle between those two and great TV.
It's just a big front for you, you know, because you actually don't give a about me, you don't give a about standards. And that's what's really winding me up. I think the Poison public kept her in personally just to sort of see me argue with her. If you're not going to pull your weight and concentrate on what you're doing, go home!
I mean, you know that you're making a television programme. That is what you're doing. And you know that the ratings will go up if there's a bit of clash, bang, wallop, particularly verbally.
The whole lot goes in the bin and we start again.
His famous and hilarious quote to her that...
You know, 1 minute you're shagging our Prime Minister, and now you're trying to shag me from behind.
ITV started by leaving swearing in from 9 p.m. to 9:30, but as the series continued, it became clear that Gordon was a one-man swear factory.
Just wondering how it's going, Gordon.
Oh, fucking hell, Angus, what do you think?
Not going well. Please don't swear, we're live on ITV.
Sorry, risotto.
There were many discussions with ITV about Gordon Ramsay and the amount of swearing that was putting some traditional viewers off.
A plate of fucking strawberries. I don't care.
The problem on ITV about swear words is what is the right line to draw? You're a show after 9. Will the kids still be up?
Do you bleep pre-watershed and then let the fucks roll post-watershed?
Do you bleep up to 9:20? You let some fucks through after that, then you bleep some of them.
Is it at 1 minute past 9, the bleeping stops and it's okay to say fuck? You know, how do you do it?
Hey, don't swear. Don't swear. There's ladies. Where's your hair?
What ITV did was invent a new job. Say hello to Mr. Fuck Button.
Literally, his job is to sit there during streaming and during our live show and press a big button to bleep whenever someone swears or says something they shouldn't have done.
The fuck button is basically the safety net, the last chance to cut out the swear word or video nasty and to protect the family viewing.
Gordon swears every other word, so we bleeped more than I've ever bleeped on any other show.
Well done.
You know, I'd prefer to let them all through. Well, that's not going to happen. And if you don't let them all through, well, then why not bleep them all? And on the last Hell's Kitchen we did, we bleeped them all.
I counted the amount of swear words that Gordon Ramsay had done over the 2 weeks of Hell's Kitchen, and I think there was well over 5,500.
Shall I tell him to go and himself?
Yeah.
The word fuck has become so commonplace, it's perhaps lost its power to shock.
Fuck off, man!
Is that a thing?
Yes.
Oh, fuck. Another one I fucking hate.
I think we're at quite a difficult crossroads now with swearing because it has been undoubtedly completely devalued, the word fuck. It's no longer shocking. It's almost meaningless. It's almost like saying I'm fucking hot, I'm fucking cold, I'm fucking going here, what the fuck are you doing, fuck a duck, whatever. It's just an expression, isn't it now?
We say, oh, fucking tired, or I'm fucking knackered, oh God, the fucking shop's shut. I mean, we just use it all the time. It's just like it and the and.
But there is one word that still has the power to really shock the audience.
Shikar!
One of my first acting jobs was for Channel 4 in the Lock Stock series, which is a spin-off from the film. And I'd just done the Wheel of Fortune. And one of my lines in Lock Stock was I had to say to this guy who'd bought me a car but bought the wrong car,
I wanted lot 13.
"You stupid cunt." And I lost my Wheel of Fortune audience overnight.
This very traditional word was first said on TV by a young man called Felix Dennis back in 1970.
It's a reasonable question.
Sweet nostalgia.
It's not reasonable, man. He's the most unreasonable cunt I've ever been in my life.
There was no plan, no meaning. I didn't wake up that morning thinking, today my great plan and ambition is about to be fulfilled, and I'm going to use the C word on British television.
When you manage to say a four-letter word on television, big deal.
I guess people have heard the word, have heard shit and fuck so often that they don't care about it. But the C word is almost unforgivable.
Guess which swear word people find most offensive?
The C word is what we call in television a Category A swear word, and it's pretty much number 1 or 2. When they release which is the worst word, it literally MF and C switch at the top.
Go on, guess which swear word people in this office find the most offensive?
I don't think it should ever be used. I don't think there's ever a need to use that word.
The most offensive swear word to people in this office.
It's a fantastic word to say, because it's short of the U, cunt.
Somehow cunt sticks in your mind.
I actually like the word because people are so, that they say, see you next Tuesday.
I suppose cunt just flows.
That word is so offensive. Yes, it is.
Fuck can be fucking great. It can go from high to low. It's just an extreme, in a sense, whereas cunt is always ugly. It has never, over all the years that it's been used publicly, ever been anything but an ugly word.
Are you sure people in this office use that word? I've never heard them. That's because they're usually talking about you, not to you.
I actually like the word cunt, and if someone does call me a cunt, I say, I'm not just any old cunt, I'm super cunt.
Even though the C word is regarded as the most offensive, it can be used on TV with a strong editorial justification, like in a programme about swearing.
When you talk, your mouth looks like a cunt moving.
One American show goes further than any other.
I remember myself, having watched it, saying to people, oh my God, you've got to watch this. It's like dialogue you've never heard before in a drama.
I ain't gonna get no gunfight with you, Hickok.
But you will run your cunt mouth at me.
I actually couldn't watch it, and I was surprised by my own intolerance for it.
And then I'll probably draw a picture for him, portray myself a cunt.
On our show, that word was the one which I think really shocked people, more than any of the others. They really went,
pardon my French.
Oh, I speak French.
There was a great uproar about the profanity, the language, which seemed to die away when they realized it was merely part of the extraordinary language that Milch had created for the show.
I think fuck has probably slipped in the ranking and cunt has ascended because fuck came into such general usage.
Based on real historical people and places from the gold rush, David Milch created an 1876 ghetto of gunslingers and whorehouses.
Essentially, their language was an attack on language. They would use, for example, fuck as every part of speech.
Fuck you! Fuck me, gentlemen!
If you put fuck in the wrong place, you're fucked in Deadwood. Because it's written by Milch, and it's used as an adjective, a noun, an adverb, whatever.
Fucking fuck the fucking fucker.
I think the thing about the swearing in Deadwood is it is incredibly aggressive and in your face, and it is almost relentless. And I say this obviously based on 20 minutes of watching it because I couldn't handle it after that. There might not have been another swear word after that. I doubt it.
No, there would have been. In its first 2 series, Deadwood had featured more swearing than a fishmonger who's just dropped 3 trays of frozen cod onto his foot. That's 1,930 fucks at a fuck rate of 1.48 fucks per minute.
Listen to me, Listen.
But Deadwood isn't just about saying fuck. They're also very fond of saying cocksucker.
Cocksuckers.
Is it better than... You're an ass, you're an idiot, you're a cocksucker.
Double-crossing cocksucker.
The fans of the show, when they see you, if they recognize you, will come up and say, you cocksucker. They also have this game in America now, apparently. They have had it since it started, where university students, it's every time I say cocksucker.
I'll give you dope when you bring that cocksucker here.
They have the shooter glass and they whack one back, you know. So they must be well pissed before the credits are over, I would think.
Language is always evolving, and programme makers always have to be on the alert for new terms of offence.
In a way, it's not the commonplace F word or whatever swear word you choose to use that is shocking today. It's other words that were current, like, I don't know, gollywog or nigger, which are absolute no-nos.
I watched some tapes the other night of Love Thy Neighbour, and just the language and the way that these people talk to each other.
Equal rights for all.
Equal rights does not entitle Nignogs to move next door. What a lovely sample.
There's no way you'd ever get that show off the ground these days.
I wish to make a complaint against the Nignog.
We found, particularly with EastEnders, words like slag, and bitch and slapper were being used an awful lot.
Nothing happened. You slut.
I can say slapper, I can say slag.
What do you expect me to do? I expected you to tell me when some slapper tries it on with my fiancé. No, hold on.
But I can't say fucker. And that's really strange, because slapper and slag are quite derogatory, you know, towards women, and I'm not sure who specifically would be upset by the word fucker. And then I get really confused, because then I see, you know, a family film coming out, Meet the Fockers, which is not really the word, but it sounds like it. So it's a bit rude, but it's not. It's really, yeah, it's confusing.
We grew up, words like golly, gosh, jeepers were words that were bandied about. We couldn't say those words. We would have a slap on the hand because they were short for God, Jesus. So if you say jeepers, you're actually swearing.
We all have our boundaries, and I can't actually say this in case my mother is watching because it would horrify her. And I was brought up a Catholic, and I still have a slight instinct against it. But the split expletive, which is the Jesus effing Christ one, that has always been problematic, but interestingly is more troubling now, I think, than it used to be.
Christian organisations had become increasingly angry about the casual use of religious swear words on television. They felt they weren't getting the same respect and protection as other faiths.
When you start combining sexual language with religious language, potentially you've got a huge problem. The use of the word Jesus or Christ in itself can be potentially offensive when it's used casually, because these are words that people hold quite dear. And when you add into that one of the strong sexual words, such as fucking, then you really do up the ante considerably in terms of the offence that you're causing.
She said she tripped up. Fucking Jesus.
A phrase like Jesus effing Christ could create a raft of complaints to the regulator, and the broadcaster could face a hefty fine.
The regulators did uphold a complaint, very serious complaint from Jamie's Kitchen, where he says,
Jesus fucking Christ.
It was a very dark day for me, and it got even darker when the series was repeated and I'd forgotten to have it edited out, so it actually went out twice.
The BBC faced its biggest dilemma, caused by mixing religion and strong language, when they decided to screen a satirical theatre piece based on The Jerry Springer Show. It was opera like we had never heard before.
Thank you and
Welcome to the show.
What the fuck is going on here?
The language in Jerry Springer, to me, is brilliantly used. Because in a sense, it's meant to challenge people where they sit and to force them to see the television that they watch all the time and see it a little differently.
Mr. fucking Big Shot, sunshine's out his ass. Take your job and shove it. It's been such a blast.
That's the last we'll see of him.
Fuck you, fuck you, fuck you, fuck you. The show is offensive and deliberately, riotously, gloriously so, and it's intended to be the whole thing.
Early on in the show, there's a bit where an opera singer goes,
What the fuck, what the fuck, what the fucking fuck?
and it gets a huge laugh from the crowd because it's just so puerile and stupid.
Fuck you.
Fuck you back.
Protesters wanted the broadcast banned, and they flooded the BBC with over 55,000 complaints. And it was the swearing that grabbed the headlines in the press.
When do we want it?
Christians mobilised and demonstrating against a play which they see as offensive.
One of my proud achievements was to be on the front page of The Sun. Well, not me directly, but the 8,000 swear words.
Well, I read about the number of obscenities, and I just said to myself, why? Why does a producer of a television programme need gratuitously to go out and offend a large section of the people of this country?
The award-winning show has been playing at theatres since 2002 without any protests. And the BBC also argues that the issue of bad language has been manipulated.
What they famously did was count the actual number of swear words in the score, and then multiply that by the number of people on stage. I think there were 30 or 31 people on stage.
And if you do that, you'll come up with something like 8,000, which is mindless, mindless. Fuck you all!
On one level, amusing, but on another level, irresponsible, because I think it exaggerated the fear and anxiety among some sections of the audience in a way that was actually unfair to the piece.
In fact, there were 321 swear words, including 59 fucks, 47 fuckings, 11 fuckers, and 5 fucked.
The intensity of the debate around it was more about the issue of the depiction of religious figures and the use of that imagery and those characters in the opera. And to some extent, the two issues have a point of connection, but I think it's quite important to keep them separate as well.
This is my Jerry Springer voice.
I don't mind having people like the Christian Coalition or whoever say, we don't like this and this is why. First go see it, though.
The issue of freedom of speech was debated at the highest level, and the BBC went to great lengths to make sure the audience understood the context of the show, with a warning that was longer than the weather forecast.
In the end, all discussions in broadcasting about swearing come down to the C word, which is context.
So there was an entire night's programming on BBC Two before it was shown with, about this, and blah, blah, plus the longest disclaimer before it was actually broadcast I've heard in the history of broadcasting.
Jerry Springer the Opera contains very strong language, religious references and extreme images which may offend some viewers.
Because the opera divided into 2 acts, it was possible to introduce Act 1 and then give an even stronger piece of information about Act 2 to ensure that people knew they were entering into territory that was likely to potentially be offensive.
Very strong language continues throughout.
If after that you didn't choose to shut off your television set, then it's too bad, pal. You're in for it. You know what it's about, and you had your chance to turn it off.
I just heard Robin say. Yes.
If we have learned one lesson in the 40 years since the first fuck was said on TV, it's that while some people find swearing entering their living rooms deeply offensive, others simply couldn't give a fuck.
You can't censor language. It is our greatest achievement.
But some things haven't changed. There's still a watershed and it's still at 9 p.m. But other things are very different. Instead of 3 channels, there are now over 300.
All the shock's gone, hasn't it? What's left to say?
Cursing is now much more commonplace, but we are now treated more like adults. Provided we are warned, we are trusted to make our own minds up.
Run for your fucking life.
Most shows are still swear-free, but some are cram-full. Like this one. By the way, our grand total? 484. Quite possibly a dubious new record. Not one we're proud of, but probably unavoidable in the circumstances.